I'm in Max. You are listening to Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. I'm in Max. Pursuing the RPG hobby with reckless abandon.
Why, hello, and welcome to Season 29, Episode 13 of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
My name is Kimi.
My name is Stork.
And in this episode, Eric from New Jersey writes in about a GM system issue. Magic Octopus writes in about immersion. Paul the Octopus, Paul the Octopus, Paul the Octopus, we love you. Don't remember that? From the World
And an
Cup?
octopus's garden in the shade is the one I'm always thinking of.
Oh my god.
Oh, this was
My daughter loves that fucking song.
I'd rather be under the sea.
the dude, the octopus in the tank in the German restaurant. You don't remember this?
No.
During the World Cup, like 3 World Cups ago, they would put, I don't know if it's like logos or something for the teams that were going to play in the World
That's
Cup.
right. They had the, right.
And
right.
the octopus would go in, and there'd be like food in both of them. And it'd go in and pick one or the other first, and it would eat the one first, and whoever it picked first, that team won the
And you know
game.
somebody somewhere was betting that on in Vegas.
So I'm
Yes,
sorry,
it's like
what's the World Cup?
soccer.
I know, I'm just kidding.
It's a sports
It's
ball.
called football, where they play the World Cup, okay? Because I don't think
Holds
they play it
a lot
here.
of beer.
The World Cup holds a
A lot of beer.
Oh, and then there was a third email that I didn't put in the summary. Hold on a
Okay.
second. And Zed from the UK writes in about unexpected twists and turns. But first, if you'd like to email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com.
Yep.
And they stream live, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time on Fridays, happyjacks.org/live.
Yes.
Live.
Live. And we are only streaming on Twitch now. So, FYI, we were streaming to Twitch and YouTube, but we figured out that it will save us lots and lots of work if we stream to Twitch and then edit it and then export it and then it just automatically posts on YouTube that way.
Right.
So that way I don't have to go into 2 different platforms and make the same edits to the same video.
You just make one edit.
I just make one edit and then it just will pop over. So, and there's only I think there's 1 or 3 people who watch on YouTube. Most people watch on Twitch anyway. So if you're one of those 3 people, I am sorry. We don't mean to inconvenience you. But it's literally hours of my life that I will have back.
It'll still end up on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It just won't be live. It will be on YouTube very, very quickly afterwards. And
Now, is that already taken effect?
Yes. So right now...
So those of you
Yeah.
watching on YouTube, you can't
see
see this.
Yes. But you'll listen later, hopefully.
I actually like watching on YouTube.
I posted it today.
I like watching on YouTube. I find the video quality better and stuff too. But
It depends on your internet speed too. But most of the time, Twitch has a thing at the bottom where there's a little gear where you can adjust the quality, the resolution. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. The resolution of it. So if you have bandwidth issues and things like that, you can drop it. You can also turn off the video completely and just listen to the audio live. So that's an option as well.
Oh, there you
So or you can just listen to the podcasts later because they will start being posted more quickly or more regularly, depending.
because
I
it's
think.
more
That's my goal.
streamlined.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So anyway, so
Cool.
I appreciate that. So that is why, FYI.
go. Excellent.
Cool.
All right.
Oh, I still have more announcements.
go.
Are you done? Okay.
Go.
All right. So transition update. Going super well. Most of my sewing area is now completely dismantled. My giant Lord of the Rings poster is now off the wall in another place where hopefully I'll find another wall to fit it. And we're going to start painting. What are you doing?
Drop my mic, sorry.
I'm sure that's
There was
very
a bug on my
nice to
top of my
listen to.
drink.
Okay. Anyway, so we're going to paint the walls.
That was it. Sorry,
Okay.
go ahead.
You're fine. It's fine. It's fine. Thank you so much to those of you who've donated stuff. I had some things start arriving today. Those of you, we made a baby registry. This is very silly.
You just so
My favorite
awesome.
thing was making the
You need a
descriptions.
baby bonnet around the Happy Jacks logo.
Yeah, there you go. But making the little descriptions, these mic holders will keep our baby safe from all the mean vibrations.
You did.
Writing the little descriptions for all the things on the Amazon registry were
there you go.
hilarious. But the reason we did an Amazon registry was because it's the only wish list that lets people donate $5 to a larger thing. So we could have 5 people donate $5 to a $25 thing.
I didn't know they did that on their.
It only does it for the baby registry.
Really?
For all the other wish lists, you have to just buy the whole thing outright.
Now, does it do it for a wedding registry too?
I don't know. I haven't run one of those. But I did the baby registry, and I knew it was a thing there. So I made a wish list thinking it would be the same, and then it wasn't. So then I was like, screw it, we're making a baby registry.
Right.
And then we did a theme. So our little Dio, that's what we've named the new studio, is Dio. And so it's getting stuff. So thank you if
Like
you...
after Ronnie James deal?
I'm not going to tell you the joke. I told it to like 3 people, and they got sad, so I'm not telling the joke about how we got the name for it now.
Bill
I'll tell
came
you
up with it,
later.
though. It's very funny.
It's very funny.
What is it?
I'm going to tell you later.
You don't want to tell them?
No, they'll be mad and sad because it's kind of a cutting, funny joke, but never mind.
Okay.
Mystery. So anyway, things are going really well. That stuff is arriving. We're very excited to get things set up. So again, the first, hopefully, if everything's working, show will be on April 1st.
The inaugural broadcast.
Yes.
Or are you kidding? Or is
We're
it
not
a
kidding.
troll?
We're not kidding. Unless everything goes to hell and none of it works, and then we're totally kidding. Totally kidding the whole time.
April Fools.
Yeah. Join the Discord. It is reorganized and being brought back to activity. There's lots of people there. So happyjacks.org/Discord, and you can chat with us. A bunch of the hosts have joined. There's different ways. If you're overwhelmed by Discords, I totally understand, but it's really cool. You can opt out of different things. So if you want to just see like the game design section that we've added, then you can just join that section. You don't have to see all the other bullshit. If you're really into like, oh, I really want to talk about politics, like there's a section you can opt in and you don't see any of the other stuff. It's not like just muting it. Like it's literally, you don't know it exists. It doesn't show up for you at all. So it's nice for organizing things. And based on our talk last week, remember we had our friend write in from like months ago who wrote in from the North Pole?
Oh, yeah. I saw the map. I saw that.
Yes. So I was really excited about this. So I spent way too much time that I should have been writing report cards this week, finding a way to put a map on our website.
Cool.
So you can go to happyjacks.org/world map, and you can add yourself on our world map wherever you are. So whoever is in the North Pole, like I know you're like at a military base, you can't tag like the exact location of the military base. Pick a nearby place, because that's just really cool to have like North Pole, Happy Jacks.
We had some in New Zealand. We had some in
Yeah.
some in Europe. It was very cool.
Yeah, it's
I haven't
super
checked
cool.
it recently since you posted it, but I was amazed it spans the globe.
Yeah, it really does. And there's only some of them. The title that you put on your pin, we're asking people, please don't pin your like actual address.
Yeah.
Please don't do that. It says in very clear directions there, but I've had like 3 people messaging me, Kimi, I didn't pay attention. I didn't read the directions. And
So
I'm
it's
saying,
like literally
on my house, can you change it? And I like bring out my teacher self, and I'm like, you need to read the directions. Yes, I'll fix that for you.
And also, if you're the dude from the Antarctica,
I feel like that was
Fingers.
years ago.
it was years ago, but he might still be listening. You don't know.
Yeah, I feel like
Although he may not still be in the Antarctica.
I feel like you can still tag it though. Like
Maybe it's
that's
just-
legit.
Maybe
Like,
it's the same guy from the North Pole. He just,
he loves cold weather.
Yeah,
he got tired of penguins.
No, the guy in the North Pole.
Yeah, it's not the same guy.
He told us what he was doing. The guy in the South Pole
Was not able to tell us.
he sent me photographic evidence and said, "Do not show this to anyone," and you will attest I did not show
Yeah.
it to anyone.
I don't know.
But he is in Antarctica. It's legit. You can see it was definitely Antarctica.
Penguins.
Did he go over to the Norwegian base and find all the dead people and then the
giant
frozen
secret Nazi
coffin?
base when they went to the moon.
No, I'm thinking
He went
of
there.
John Carpenter's The Thing, which is like one of the greatest movies
Or the
ever.
giant spaceship buried
yeah.
underground.
Yeah. Have you watched John Carpenter's The Thing?
How about did you
One of the
watch-
greatest movies ever.
Did you watch X-Files? Don't you remember the X-Files movie when they went down to?
I
And
don't
they
know if I
found
watched the movie. I watched the whole
They
series.
found the giant alien spaceship buried under the
I feel like
Antarctica.
that's like a lot of different movies. It's also Superman. Or at
True.
least the new
That wasn't
Superman.
South Pole though, was it?
Yeah, I think it
I
was.
thought it was North Pole.
Through the
I
crystal.
stopped paying attention at that point. I was so angry about
Yeah.
everything about that movie that
Which one?
It's in the
Exactly.
first. It's in the first one too.
It's
It's in the Christopher
the-
Reeve one
like
too. He throws the
Christopher
crystal.
Reeve Superman.
Yeah.
There's a North Pole.
Oh no, that
base.
one's like in the North Pole, and that's not his ship. Like he made he made that himself. Like his
Yeah, they took the little crystal and
yeah.
chucked
That's
it into
different.
something
But
and
in the
magically turned
new
into
Man
ice.
of Steel, it's literally like a
That's a ship,
Kryptonian
yeah,
ship that's
right.
like been buried there forever. It's very strange. Anyway, so yes, I feel like that's legit. Like if you want to like retroactively tag where you were if you were in the Arctic or some cool place like that,
Especially
like,
if
do
it's Antarctica, because how often did that going to
it's
happen?
so cool. Yeah, tag yourself.
So cool.
Tag both. Like tag now and tag like where you were before. So I'm good with that. It's not exact science, people. But beware, there is a little tag on it, like you get to title it, and the title is everybody can see your title, so don't
put your
Don't
address.
put your
don't put your address and don't put your real legal name or something. This is my social security number. I'm gonna.
Definitely put your social security.
Yeah,
Use that instead of.
Hey, yeah, that'll fund our new studio. Awesome. Okay.
You get a nice studio that way.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Yeah, that's all my announcements.
That's all. Okay.
You need to watch John Carpenter's A Thing.
Okay.
You've talked to Sam, and you guys can watch it together.
I'm sure he's seen it.
It's excellent.
Every time I talk about something, he's like,
Who's in it?
Kurt Russell.
Who
"Now
else?
who's Kurt Russell?" No.
No, who else?
Wilford Brimley.
Is the dude that played Hawkeye from the MASH movie in it? What am I thinking of? What?
Alan Alda?
No, from the movie.
Oh, I don't know.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
That would be Donald
Like
Sutherland.
Steamer shirt?
Yeah.
My daughter stole this, and then she
Did you mute it? Like, are they just being
Cleveland
It's not
Steamers.
that
assaulted with your
It's not
loud
that loud.
sound? Okay.
The Cleveland Steamers.
My daughter stole this shirt, and then I think she went on Urban Dictionary and found out what it meant, and I mysteriously found it back in my closet.
Yeah.
Urban Dictionary.
But she was wearing it to school. I'm like, I'm sure at school.
That is just, it's like, I think you planned that.
I didn't.
I think you totally planned
I
that. Here,
didn't.
Allie, when did you wear this shirt to school?
That'd be amazing.
My laundry, sometimes I leave my laundry in the dryer. I don't fold it right away. And she'll go through and say, oh, I like that shirt. And she steals my shirts all the time.
Dead, yours. Ew.
Well, I laughed when I saw her wearing it. I'm like, do you know what the Cleveland Steamer is? I'm not going to tell you. You're my daughter.
And that's good parenting right there.
I don't ever want you to know what a Cleveland Steamer is.
But you'll probably give me the shirt back once you find out.
She sure did.
Yep.
Yeah.
A GM or
Okay.
system issue from Eric in New Jersey. Well, hello. Well, hello.
There it is.
Hello.
Greetings from the beautiful state of New Jersey. Well, the northwest part where I am is quite beautiful anyway. It is I, Eric, from New Jersey, with a problem I need to ask for help with.
By the way, Eric, you write in a lot. Thank you so much.
Yes, you've been listening for a long time.
We really appreciate it.
For the past year or so, I've been running Star Trek Adventures Classic Era campaign.
Nice.
It's overall been a positive experience. Except I realize I dislike the 2D20 system.
Dislike.
Didn't I say dislike?
Oh, I thought you said I just like. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I don't think the system is a failure. Are you giving me notes right now? You can read it. Go ahead.
That's fine. I'll do the next one.
All right. Is a failure. It is more of the fact that my GMing style and the mechanics are not completely compatible. While I am a serviceable GM with a system, not the best but not the worst, according to one player who has never played with me before. Wow,
That's a ringing endorsement right there.
Mighty praise.
Yeah.
I want that on a T-shirt.
Not the best, not the worst, according to someone who I've never met.
I think that's going to be the new Poxy Boggart's motto.
Right?
Not the best, not the worst.
According to someone who's never heard us.
According to someone who's never heard us. God damn it. That is right. Yeah, someone say that about the Poxy Boggarts so I can put that on the back of a CD as a quotes like, critics rave about the Poxy Boggarts. Not the best, not the worst. Someone who never listened to them.
Oh, I mean, I can say that. I haven't listened to the CD yet. It's just sitting in my car. So technically,
I haven't either. I don't even. It might be blank. I should probably listen to it more before we start selling them. Our new CD has gotten back from the.
We actually had that happen once. Like when we had CDs printed way back in the day, they had a couple of things still in the.
I found out what happened with that.
But let me finish the story so everyone else. But they had like a couple of things still left in the print thing, and so they got packaged with our thing and sent out to people. And then like a month or two later, you got calls like, Are you guys doing a doo-wop album? And you're like, no. And then you can pick it up.
Someone spilled at the print where they do the screening onto the discs, the actual printing on them, not punching the holes.
Right. But the artwork.
The artwork. Someone had knocked over a cart that had a bunch of them on there, and it was there's more than one job there, and they had not gone through the printing process yet, but they had been stamped. So they were CDs with whatever was going to be on them, but there was no artwork printed on them yet. And so they just picked them up and kind of put them back on the spools, whoever did it. Assumed that the ones that fell over here belonged on this side, and or however.
I'm so
Which is
waiting
why-
to hear from the people that bought the doo-wop group
And got our
and
album.
got our album instead. Some church group, you know, and it's like, I'm bored, they got Chip Venus. Oh my, oh.
Oh my gosh. Chat would love to know the name, your brilliant name of your new album.
Songs of Vice and Ire. That is the title of our new CD,
Yes.
which was actually released digitally 2 years ago. But now that we have a fair, it's been printed. So, not very limited run though. I only printed 200. Because who buys CDs?
Nobody.
Nobody.
But I mean, maybe someone. I'm hopeful. Maybe
I
someone.
heard
will
that it's coming back. CDs are coming back like
buy. Our
LPs
Poxy scented candles, I think, will
Oh my
do very
God.
well.
He's not joking. They
Yes.
made those.
Stork is going to work on the artwork.
Yeah, but if you have like the brilliant technological advance that is gonna replace CDs, like please tell us because we all
Yeah.
have bands and we don't know what the fuck to do right now.
Everybody. I mean, this is happening. Like Steely Dan is trying to figure out how to market their stuff, and we're trying to. It's like we're all of us grappling with it. But
Well, we have been for a decade.
Yeah.
We've seen this coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've tried other things.
And none of them really work.
Yeah.
For a while there, like in like the late aughts, it looked like it was going to be like thumb drives.
yeah, remember those? We were looking at wooden thumb drives. We were like, "Ooh, this will be
Right.
so cool."
I found the coolest one. It's a old cassette tape that has a flip out USB port,
I remember those.
and but they will custom print your band as if
Yeah.
this was your cassette, which is freaking awesome. But who the hell is going to use that? now?
Right, and at some point people are gonna pick this up. What is this supposed to be?
What is this
Right.
weird thing?
And
Why is
you're
this
like,
so big?
Well, it's like, well, my kids do that with CDs now.
Right.
They
phones.
found a CD wallet in the trunk of my car. And Allie's like, "What's that? Is this music?" She didn't know what they were.
Oh man,
It's like Austin Powers. They put it on the LP.
Right.
wild.
My neighbors are hanging them from the trees to keep the crows away.
We got thousands in there. We can do something with them.
Crows?
You go throw them at crows. I just can't excel at it. We're back to the D20,
Oh, yeah,
the
sorry,
2D20
thank you.
system.
We're back in our
Sorry
email.
for the. I leave the sessions dissatisfied with my GMing in the system in ways I never felt with something like Savage Worlds or Masks. Normally, this would result in an adult conversation between me and the players, but if we decide to stay with the system, my players would maybe think that I'm not giving it my all because of the difficulties I have with the system, and I don't want to put that nugget in their mind just yet. So right now, I see three options. One, stick with it, try to get better at it. I don't hate the system, but I don't think it's completely compatible with my particular style. However, practice makes perfect, and perhaps I can grow as a GM outside my comfort zone in this regard. For the record, the original STA books is laid out terribly, and finding what I need is very difficult
Yes.
with an electronic copy. That's a lot of roll.
Yeah, that's one of my big bugaboos, because I'm old, I have to say words like bugaboo.
Right.
It's one of my big bugaboos about electronic copies is like, wait, scroll, or, because 9 times out of 10 in a PDF or whatever it is, the
If you
content
produce
doesn't work.
If
and
you
get-
produce a RPG PDF and it's not and the text
Searchable.
is not searchable, you're a monster.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, 100%. You're
Hate
the
it.
enemy.
Yep.
I'm trying to rack my brain about if I made sure the Decima was searchable. I think I did. I'm pretty sure I meant to. If I
meant
didn't,
to.
That's not that long.
yeah, it's
though.
like 4 pages long. So.
Okay, yeah, that's different. That's different. But
It's
a
literally
book
a
with
chart.
hundreds of
Where,
pages.
yeah, no, that's bullshit. Yeah, you literally charts with. You just have to look at the charts. Like, super
Right.
easy.
My players and
Electronic copy.
Okay,
I made
electronic
sure.
copy.
I made sure like text to speech readers could use it. So I probably made it searchable.
Oh, yeah, it'd have to
Okay,
be.
yeah,
it
that's
would
true.
have
Okay.
to be if it can do that.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
For the record, the book is laid out terribly. The difficult finding even electronic copy. It intersperses crunch and fluff. I hate that. Regularly while using the same terminology in both.
Oh.
Things are damn hard to look up.
Nice. We've been doing this a long time.
The crunch and...
Yeah. That's
that-
messy.
Yeah, it's like have a section. You don't have to put it in the front of the book. I would, here are the game mechanics.
Yes.
And then all of the fluff.
Yeah.
And then use the same terminology in both. Oh,
Yeah,
that's not gonna.
And then
that's
the
a
best
mess.
thing is when in the fluffy part, you have like those little like quote places where like, hey, this is
Pull
great.
quotes?
Yeah, like the pull quotes are the little like blocks that are like just in the layout that are like,
Sidebars.
yeah, sidebars. Thank you. I am a game producer. That like oh, this is good for this rule on this page. Like it just like references back, but it's not like information. Like
Right.
yeah.
It's
Sorry,
like, it's like color commentary.
yeah, I've been looking through the Lighthearted book that I got that Kurt made, and Katie, and it's just beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
They did such a phenomenal job.
Yep.
It looks so good, and I just
fantastic.
like all the things I was looking at. I was, oh, I like that. Oh, I want to steal that. That's a great inspiration.
Homage.
Homage to Lighthearted. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Option number 2.
Yes.
Talk to the players about moving it to another system. As
right.
Erica has suggested to me, talk to people on the Pinnacle forums, for example, and see if there is a good Star Wars adaptation.
Star Trek.
Trek, whatever. Same shit.
Happy to
May the Force be with you.
You won't miss me. You won't miss me.
You just said that because I read the emails now. Oh, I didn't say it.
All right. Maybe look at Kimi's beta for her sci-fi PBTA game.
Oh, yeah.
And see, and what is the name of that game?
Starscape. BTA.
And see if that would work. The reason I hesitate to do this is your own trouble, Stu, when you went from 4th edition to another system, Hero,
Yeah.
and trying to get the players right, even if they couldn't be exact. Yeah.
Yeah, that was hard.
Changing game systems is a pain in the ass.
Don't do it.
Now, it may not be... okay, like, I haven't looked at Star Trek Adventures since Dave ran his AP of it. It may not be quite as big a deal because the way you build powers and stuff in D&D makes very specific characters, where I don't know if in Star Trek Adventures it's more generic stuff like shooty lasers and things like that. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Because, like, taking, like, I'm completely blank on any of the things, but...
Ranger, Bard,
Yeah, like, I was
Sorcerer.
like a Raven Queen
Cleric.
cleric.
Right.
It's like trying to switch that to GURPS fantasy, where like it's completely different. Like those are just two very incompatible systems. Where
You can make that character concept in the game,
which
but
we did.
You can't. What we were trying to do, which I did not want to do, was people were recreating all of their D&D character powers.
Yeah.
In Hero.
Yeah, or Hero. That's what it was.
Because we started with Hero and then we went to
GURPS. It was I mean, like also we did 3 different systems, so it's a little different than just switching one system.
Yeah.
Well, we should go through this, but I have some things to say about
Okay.
that. Yeah.
To be exact. Option number 3. It might be time to end the game.
Maybe?
We play once a month, and it has been going for 12 or so sessions. Maybe it's time to call it quits. This would involve another adult conversation with the players, and I don't just want to kill it with fire right away. Maybe just say we are going to have another session or 2 before we end it. So that's where I am right now. Hopefully you can offer some sage advice. Anyway, stay drunk, stay diverse, and keep on rolling those dice. Thanks, Eric from New Jersey. P.S. I didn't want to edit the main body, so you can actually get postscript.
Yeah.
It turns out 2 of my 6 players actually are not thrilled with the game system either. Of course, one of the other players bought me Klingon dice for the game. Sigh.
Oh. Eric in New Jersey, also a member of the Discord, very active, and yeah, that's actually where he's talking to Erica Odd about some of this stuff.
Cool.
So it's good. I have thoughts. Do you want to take it by point by? I mean, I don't know. How do we want to do this?
I'd kill it. I would. It's like
Yeah.
switching systems is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It's a real pain in the ass. Even tell people, it says, no, just take your concept, like the basic concept.
It's a nightmare.
And just make a new thing. They're like, but I have this feat I got with XP, and I want this feat.
But it's even more than that. I mean, you're trying. You have a history and stuff involved, and you have a character concept that you have, and when you switch systems, it changes the way you play.
Oh, sure.
Because the way I play GURPS is completely different than the way I play D&D, and they should be.
Yeah. Well, you get in a fight in GURPS, you run away.
Right, and so therefore it affects the way my character interacts.
Right.
It's completely different, and it changes everything. It's not just And so, trying to minimize the impact of changing, you try to move as much of your character over. It doesn't work. You're already playing in a whole different style anyway, and the whole flavor and mood of the game changes. Everything changes. It seems like we'll just change systems; it'll be fine. It isn't.
Yeah.
It completely changes the game, the way they play, the way they're feeling about the game, even the familiarity of like. All right, you see a fin come through the ground, and it goes up, and ooh, it's a bullet, all right, cool. And all of a sudden in GURPS, so you see a misshapen hand climb through the ground. You're like, I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is? I don't know what that is. Run away!
Right.
So it changes everything. You think it's just the system. It isn't. It's going to change everything.
Yeah. I'm going to argue for middle ground. End this campaign, but stay in the same universe and play some sort of amalgamation of descendants from your current characters.
That would totally work.
Yeah, that way they don't lose all the lore and history and like attachment to the characters they have now. And you can very cleanly switch systems. So it's not like wiping the slate clean, that was terrible, we hated that. Like they can take over all the most important things and the things they really loved about that game into a new clean slate of a game. So especially the players who like weren't having a lot of fun, like that'll give them a chance to kind of reset and stuff. So.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And Stu's sort of done that. He has LW now has been transferred
And
to about
L5R.
4 or 5 different
L5R too, yeah.
a couple
100%.
of different game systems.
Yeah, L5R, we were with a good system, then we went with the shitty new system, then we went back to the good
And we
system.
hated it so much, we killed off those characters.
And did it again in
Yeah.
a better
Yeah, but I have to say, I was actually talking about this. I guested on like the 42 Cast, which is another podcast the other day, and they asked me like what, like one of my most important gaming moments was, like one of the moments I've ever enjoyed most in a campaign, and I said like when we played our L5R campaigns, and you gave us our new characters the swords that our first characters had gotten.
Right.
And like even though it was like this little moment that like was so easy for other people to miss. Like, because we had so much history and emotion, like, we were crying. Like, it meant so much to us because of all that time that we'd put into those, and all that history and attachment we had to those first characters.
And you didn't necessarily get the sword from your character.
We didn't.
It was 'cause
We
you were
specifically didn't.
playing descendants of other players' PCs.
Yeah. And so, and then, like, when my sword got, spoilers, if you haven't listened to it by now, come on. Like, got destroyed because of the stuff that Dave's character did. I won't say everything. Like, I was just like, like, even that was like as much as it was like a heartbreaking moment, like that sword that my original character had, like there's just so much history, and it's such a fun thing for players to do, is to like look back on their previous actions as history that informs the actions of their current, like maybe totally different, maybe exactly the same character.
There's
really
a
cool.
shared memory that you have with about all of those characters. I've encountered it in video games. Like I went back to EverQuest years later, and like walking through places that I like died in or had met people in. I'm like, okay, this is a completely virtual world, and yet I'm having like a visceral reaction, like going back to this place that doesn't really exist, but somehow in my brain I have memories of.
You have lived there.
I lived there. There was like, and it's the same with these role playing games. It's like there's this visceral shared memory we have of this world and this stuff that we did.
Yeah.
It isn't real, but it is in a way.
It is real to us.
It's real to us.
Yeah.
What you can that you said just gave me an idea.
Okay.
You end the campaign. Just end it. Like you're going into a system. End the campaign. It's 20 years later.
Oh.
Crew of a new ship. The Hulk of the ship from the first campaign just mysteriously appears in the neutral zone.
Nice.
You have to go investigate what happened.
What happened, where it came from. Yeah, that's cool. Like,
There
there's
you
so many
go.
things you could do.
Yeah.
Or, like, their current crew goes out in, like, this blaze of glory and becomes, like, this legend of
Yeah.
Starfleet Academy that everybody talks about. So, and, like, some of your characters might be, like, descendants of people who died there, and, like, they have to deal with the weight of being, like, this hero's, like son or daughter or child. And there's, like, all these things, and some people, like, really look up to it, and, like, some people think it was a terrible thing. Like, there's so many fun ways to tie it into a current campaign that don't have anything to do with the mechanics.
Right.
So you can totally just pick a totally different system and still continue a really awesome story in your universe.
And I know there's lots of Star Trek hacks out there for, I think, almost every system. I think there's a Traveler one, there's a Savage Worlds one for sure. There's
Yeah.
all sorts of hacks out there if you want to just start looking at Star Trek adaptations in other systems.
Yeah. And if you want to look at Starscape, I'm happy to chat with you. Like, DM me in the Discord, and we can talk about it and see if it's a good fit. It may be a good fit, it may not be. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for trust and feels and like tension between do I trust you, do I not, then it might be a great fit. If you're looking for how much damage does my phaser do, then that's not.
All right,
That was a
thank
good
you,
email.
Eric.
Yeah.
That was a good discussion.
It was.
Go us.
Immersion, Magic Octopus.
In an octopus's garden.
My daughter listens to that. I made this mistake. Okay, there's this very cool thing. I'm gonna like segue before we go anything. It's called a Yoto. It's like a little player.
Where is it?
My God, she's also obsessed with Yoda.
Who isn't,
I know.
really?
It's very cute.
Allie hates it when I punch her Yoda.
Yeah. But a Yoto, but it's like this little music player, and you can make little cards that are attached to like a playlist on the cloud. So she can actually switch different music. We made her a bunch of these cards with like playlists that we made because we didn't want her to listen to annoying like kid music. So she listens to like
Crazy Frog.
well, she loves like there's like a mix we did of the Clean Boggerton Wives stuff, which she adores, and like anyway, there's a whole bunch of different stuff, rock music. Yeah, it's very funny when she like rocks out to music. But anyway, like one of them is that song.
Was it the Ringo Starr one,
Yeah.
or did you get it from? Yeah.
Yeah. So she like plays it, but she also has the control of it, so she can like hit repeat,
Right.
and she does it a lot.
Oh, sure.
She's hit that age where it's like, oh God, this is the 15th time of me listening to Weird Al sing Yoda. This is nice, I think.
Have you seen his cameo in the... what's the name of that band? He did a cameo...
Blink 182?
no, it was Weezer.
Oh,
they
yeah.
did a
Yeah.
whole album of covers.
Yeah.
Very, like, faithful covers.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And one of them is Africa by Toto.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And there's and he's in the video.
Yeah.
And it's
He might
fucking-
actually be in the recording, too, I think.
That's cool.
I don't know.
Weird Al's... he's
freaking
no longer
hysterical.
just the purview of nerds and music geeks. People, rightfully so, have caught up with the genius that is Weird Al. I was talking about it today at work, just to decide. Like, when Michael Jackson did Bad and Beat It, he did Beat It first, and then he did Bad, and there's a song cycle.
Right.
One led to the other. So Weird Al, because he's so meta, did Eat It. And then
Fat.
did Fat,
Right.
Yeah.
which also ties in because when you eat it, you get fat. When you
Right.
beat it, it's like he's that good.
Yeah.
And then go listen to the
Very
lyrics
smart.
and how he justifies. He's
The
that good.
Yeah,
he's
the
that
lyrics
deep.
are so good.
Anyway,
As someone who folks songs a lot, it's inspirational.
Yes.
Anyway, Magic Octopus. Nothing to do with that. But anyway.
you want me to read it? I
Yeah,
can
do
read
it.
Oh, okay.
I read the long one. I took the bullet.
Hello, douchebags. Lately, actually, not lately, but for the past 25 years, I have struggled to get what I really want from RPGs. When I first encountered them as a kid with my mind's eye, I saw different imaginative worlds and wanted to go experience them. Reading these magical RPG books evoked something unique in me, something like that pre-written and crafted stories from movies, books, and comics could not achieve. A dream of diving into these worlds and not just spectating them from the outside. I've been gaming for almost 30 years now, and to this day, the great moments where I truly feel like I am embodying my character are few and far between. I feel that I am alone in my problem because immersion doesn't seem to be that important to others. My ideal RPG session would be just the characters shooting the shit around a campfire. That can only happen if the players are truly in the moment and feel free to improvise on their characters' knowledge and experiences from the world. Also, the players would need to prioritize the experiences of being in another world rather than the need to achieve an adventure goal or to progress the narrative. As an example, one of my favorite moments was when my lute-playing fighter gave tips to the local bard on how to construct a never-ending song. This is the song that never ends. I hope that's not on her playlist.
No.
Because...
Nope, because I control this playlist.
Aha!
Well, Crazy Frog. Just put that. Do you know Crazy Frog?
Crazy Frog.
It still shows. I can't play it.
Yeah,
It still shows up in my shuffle because I got it. My very first iPhone. I don't know. Allie was probably 5.
Yeah.
And she wanted Crazy
It's the Axel
Frog.
Foley theme.
It is, yes. But they added
They mixed it, yeah.
high pitched.
No.
From Beverly Hills Cop, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a thing I don't want on a playlist.
No.
You can't repeat on.
No.
No.
It would repeat.
It was. Disney used to have a radio station and would play it on it, and I remember we had a conversation about because Stu and I have kids around the same age, so we would listen to these things. And one time, Tom Waits came on the Disney thing, and it's what's he building in there?
Oh God.
What's he doing? And the kids thought, well, this is kind of interesting and stuff. And I'm like, Tom Waits, yeah. I was like,
Hear all the construction noises in the
yeah.
background.
What's he building? He's got all those magazines. What's he
It's just
doing?
this weird shit. It's
That is
just
very
weird.
strange.
It's a
shit.
great tone poem. Tom
Yeah.
Waits, the great Tom Waits. Where the hell was I? I was reading. As
an example?
we did that already.
No, as an example. One of my favorite movies. Okay, loop playing benefits that to construct the never-ending song, and what the benefits of that might be. There were no game mechanics used, and the discussion had no bearing on the current mission or adventure. It was just two dudes talking shop. It seems to me that for most people, the biggest things in RPGs are stories and rules. Which one is more important depends on the person. But to me, the most important and thus far nigh unattainable ideal is immersion. I want to look at a
I'm with
fantasy
you, brother.
world through my character's eyes and feel it. I want to see attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I want to watch sea beams glittering in the dark near Tannhauser Gate. And I want to talk about how it felt. That was all improv by Rutger Hauer, apparently, during that movie.
Was it really?
Yeah.
It was all improv?
It was
Holy shit.
that whole off the shoulder of Orion and sea beams glittering
Right.
on 10 hours again. People often asked him when he was still alive, like, what does that mean? He goes, I don't know. It was like 2 a.m. and I'm standing on a rooftop and he says to come up with some stuff and I came up with it. And why do you even remember? Yeah, he was a curmudgeon, I guess. At this point, it is probably
After our own hearts.
it is probable that the best immersion comes from just reading RPG books and using my imagination. Maybe a group with a similar desire doesn't exist. Maybe I'm completely wrong about this and wouldn't even like such immersion. Nevertheless, I desire it, and so far haven't got what I want. Questions. 1. How important is immersion to you? Can you share some immersive moments from your gaming history? 2. What kind of system do you think would cater best to immersion? My feeling is that a simulation is one like my favorite, GURPS.
Yeah.
Instead of a narrative system, by definition, narrative systems prioritize narrative, that is, story and controlling narrative, with rules makes the game more distancing instead of immersive.
I know exactly what he's saying.
Thanks, and keep on jacking happy. Magic
Oh,
Octopus.
my.
That is my criticism with any game that gamifies narrative.
Okay, so let's start with number 1. How important is immersion to you?
To me, number 1.
Absolutely.
Number 1. It is the most important thing.
Yeah.
It very rarely happens, but when it does happen, it is fucking magical.
Yes.
As a GM, it never happens.
No.
But as a player, I mean, well, kind of, maybe
You
a
get
little
those
bit.
moments where you feel like, okay, it's gonna sound awful, but like God, where like they're talking, they're arguing, they're so into it, and you just are like sitting there watching.
Look what I have wrought.
Yeah, it's like-
fight for me, my
It's-
minions.
Yeah, it's not exactly the same. You're right, but that you are completely immersed in what they are doing in the world you've created.
To me, for it to be immersion, it would have to be if it happened while I was portraying an NPC.
Okay, that can happen.
Where I'm like,
I feel like that's
full,
not as
in
much.
and
Yeah.
Well, having seen
you shouldn't be that close with
No,
your NPCs.
and you
if
need
you're
to
a
be
GM.
calculating while you're playing that character.
Hold on. I don't know if you guys have played with Dave Kazay, but
Yes.
he completely immerses himself into the character's roles,
yeah.
into the world, and into his narrative.
No, there's a difference between him being like
He's a good actor,
Yeah, he's
is
a good
what it
actor.
is.
Like
He's
and,
Fair.
and
Fantastic
immersing
character.
into the story, yes. But while he's being that NPC, if you know him well and you watch his eyes, you can see him calculating and thinking as a GM.
That's true.
He's still GMing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's amazing at like getting into it and performing to get his players into it.
That's true.
But he's not becoming that character so much that he's not thinking about what the character is doing for the players.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
like he is amazing at creating immersion at his table. I think
Okay.
is the
Oh, yeah.
magic.
I think so.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's the most important thing. I think we are super lucky because we've always kind of had had those moments. Like
Right.
it's not constant in every game for any group, no matter how amazing they are.
To be honest, it's a rarity.
And
To feel that true immersion, like I am experiencing what my character's experiencing, it probably doesn't happen every session.
it's exhausting,
yeah.
and it's also
It is exhausting.
it's also kind of scary to a lot of other people too, because it's like suddenly you're crying or yelling.
Oh yeah, especially if it's a very emotional moment, and
Yeah.
suddenly I'm as angry as my character is. Shit, this is not healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'm as sad as my character is, or whatever it is.
And you can't keep that up for very long.
And yeah, feeling emotion swings is fucking exhausting.
It's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So you can have like moments of it in like maybe once or twice a game, but to stay in like an emotional state of your character,
That probably isn't healthy.
it's not healthy, and it's exhausting and emotionally draining, and it's not good
Well,
for
that's
you at all. But
at that point, if it's like the whole session, that stops being gaming at some point.
Right.
That starts being like method acting exercises.
well, actually, I have a thought about that for
Okay.
two, but yes.
But yeah, can you share some immersive moments from your gaming history?
I can remember when Mac and I got into our characters and we were yelling at each other at
Yes.
the table, and I think
It's
it
always
genuinely
funny
scared
when it
some of the other people.
That was stressful.
Yeah,
It's very
everyone starts
stressful.
checking in. It's like, are you guys
Are you guys
mad at
okay?
each other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were like, no. Allie came in and we were like, oh, hi, Allie.
Yeah.
Right. And my biggest one was also, it was a fight. It was when I was playing Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
And we got in a big argument because I went out and decided to be a vigilante and I can't remember the guy's name, but he was like the leader of our team, and he's like trying to dress me down. I'm like, you need to stop coddling these criminals.
And you went off. I remember.
Oh yeah,
You talked about
We
this.
had this. And it was fun, but it was intense.
And you shake.
Oh,
Your
yeah.
body doesn't know you're pretending. This is what actors.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's like you're tricking your endocrine system to start like.
This is what a lot of actors contend with. Like when they're in the moment, they're in the zone, and they get that. Their body doesn't know that they're pretending. They've worked themselves into such a snit that they're literally shaking or crying or whatever, and it's emotionally draining, and it's not healthy.
No.
Which is why I contend a lot of actors are kind of crazy because they live on that edge a lot. They get paid a lot of money to live on that edge. Well, some of them get paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like
And some of them live on that edge.
Yeah. And I feel like some of them feel like they have to be on the edge to be valid, like
Right.
to be good acting. Like, oh God, like,
They'll see me acting if I'm not actually.
yeah, like they feel like they have to be it
Really
all
good.
the time. I forget who it was, but some famous method actor was talking to some other famous actor, and you'll know who this is.
It was
when I-
Dustin Hoffman,
Yeah.
and he let everybody
Oh,
off
that
the hook
was,
for method acting, and it was.
Well, no. Somebody said I don't know if it was him, but at some point he said, "Have you tried acting?"
Oh yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
That was Dustin Hoffman
Yeah.
again, and it was the Marathon Man.
That's it.
And Dustin
Yeah.
Hoffman,
And it's the guy that played the dentist.
yes, and Dustin Hoffman had stayed up like 3 days and looked all haggard and everything, and oh my God, his name fell out. I
'Cause
just
I
had
put
it a
pressure
second
on
ago. But he walks in and he's all refreshed, has his coffee or whatever, and Dustin Hoffman's all and he looks at it. Oh, why don't you just try acting?
Yeah, that's what you do.
'Cause-
Yeah.
But years later, Dustin Hoffman was on, I think, Inside the Actor's Studio, and he kind of let everybody off the hook for method acting. He goes, you don't have to method act all the time. And he launched into something and started shouting, and came back and said, not feeling a thing. Just shouting, not feeling a thing. You don't, it's a tool if you find yourself stuck, but you don't have to be method acting
yeah.
all the time. It's exhausting. And he went on, and it was like, oh, thank God, if Dustin Hoffman can
And
let
it's
us
probably
off the
not
hook.
good for you.
Right.
No, definitely not good for you.
No.
I feel like I do this more than both of you. I feel like I get immersed in my characters pretty easily. Obviously, like not when I'm GMing, but I feel like generally I have at least once or twice a session, like a moment where I feel like I'm my character talking.
Right.
Gosh, there've been so many moments. I think like one of the most. I mean, I already talked about the sword moment. I feel like we've had in L5R we had so many moments.
Oh yeah.
Like there's moment. The magic is like there's moments where you as a player are immersed in your character, but the real like magic moments is where you look up at the table and you realize. Well, you don't even realize because you're so into your character. You're talking, and everybody's immersed, and you don't really think about. I'm talking to Stork, and not his character. You know, where you're
Right.
talking to his character, and those are those magic like. Maybe a couple times a campaign moment.
And a lot of them are just discussions, like you said.
Yeah,
Sometimes
most of the time they are.
it starts out maybe with planning or whatever, or sometimes it's just like everybody's meeting at the vampire lair, and there's a hour-long discussion, arguments, and characterization that happens there
Well,
it's not completely planned.
The fact that what he describes in here is just small talk between two characters. It has nothing to do with the storyline. Has nothing to do with the adventure they're on. That's the kind of shit that, like, actually not only can that help immersion, but it also breathes more life into the characters themselves.
Absolutely. It can also be super frustrating if you're Stu and you want us to make some progress on the storyline, and the vampires just want to sit and bitch at each other
Just do
for
something.
hours.
Just do something. 5 episodes. Of,
No, you're just like, oh, this is a real problem. This could be dangerous. Let's put a pin in it.
Yeah.
I know what was going on.
and I also know that just to
if I don't do anything, it'll just sit there.
now moving on to the system.
Because you know how I GM.
I can't think of like a specific. I think the end of another like and point that really sticks out to me is at the end of Jason's Revelations campaign, which is his first playtest of Demigods here.
Right.
Like I don't want to say too much about it, but like there's a moment at the end where we were kind of resolving things, and one of the characters, like leaves the world through a thing, and she has 2 children, and my character had been like this like paparazzi like party girl, like not responsible for anything. Like I was couch surfing. I was convincing people to like let me stay at their Airbnbs for free. Like that was my life. And I ended up, because Abria and my characters were so close, like kind of like stepping in and taking, and like that was, it was kind of like the end at the campaign. I think it's spoilers, sorry, but it's really good. You should watch it anyway.
Like
yeah.
Epilogue?
It was kind of like an epilogue thing about what happened at the end, and it was. I just remember being so emotional, like her and I sitting next to each other, like literally just kind of tearing up. That I was going to take her to imaginary children,
right,
and like guide them, like with her, you know. And it was just like this big moment that really like. Also, because that like our friendship had kind of been, because she was newer, like we knew each other, we were friends, but like that campaign like sealed us as like we are best friends forever now, outside of the game and in the game, because you adopted my 2 fake kids who don't really exist, and you're gonna make sure that they're raised right.
Right.
And like, yeah, I don't know. It's just that was just a really like poignant moment.
It does sort of dovetail into what kind of system would you do. I'm always reminded of, and I didn't play it, and you and I, you have share a similar thing about Monster Hearts, which is it's a dangerous game to play because it really makes people dwell on the uncomfortable parts of life, emotions, and stuff. I understand that the Monster Heart games was very, very dramatic, but I think that there are some games out there that really want you to pick at the scab and poke at things, and I don't know how healthy that is at the end of the day.
Right.
Well, it's important, like Monster Hearts specifically, like it's very upfront about that, and it's very upfront about some of the safety tools you need to use with that. And
you need to use.
Yeah,
them.
and it has a limit. Like it has like this is when your campaign ends. Like you're not supposed to like make the choice. And we've talked, like, obviously our Monster Hearts campaign kind of ended without an ending. One of the reasons, like, looking back on it is because they ignored that rule.
Right.
Like, they should have ended their campaign according to the rules as written.
You were in it, right?
No, I wasn't in it. But I organized it, and then I did, like, some, like, talks with them about it, because it did bring up a lot of really intense emotions.
It was a very intense game.
It was a super intense game. Great listening, really.
Yeah.
Ended up with a bunch of couples out of it. Like, it was one of those games that's like, oh, good, everybody paired off and is getting married. I mean, I guess Joey and Adam are getting married now, so we can't be too mad about it. It's a joyous occasion. So it was like a very intense game, but you have to pay attention because a lot of games that are designed to be really intense like that have those things baked into them, or they should, if they are responsibly written, which Monster Heart is. I don't know if it's a...
I wonder if anyone who isn't a psychologist or psychiatrist is qualified to even write that fucking game. I'm serious.
I agree.
Sure.
I think it's dangerous too.
You were going in and you were picking at childhood trauma.
Yes.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean...
Orchard's trauma.
There's a reason therapists have licenses. I'll just leave it there.
I agree. I agree with this too. I agree.
I can say that's
no one pays money to go to an amateur therapist.
I can say that's not a game that appeals to me. I've had opportunities to play it. I've turned it down because that's not something that I want. That's not a thing I'm interested in playing. Like I'm fine with romance in games and things like that, but that particular brand of like let's kind of revisit high school years of the power fantasy.
Right.
Isn't something that speaks to me. That may be also because I didn't feel powerless in high school, so I can absolutely empathize with people who did feel powerless in high school, wanting to try that. But again, like you were saying, it may not always be a good idea,
Right.
and especially not a good idea if there are mechanics there to try and keep you safe and you're ignoring them.
Right.
So it's something that needs to be done very carefully. And looking back,
and responsibly.
yeah, I think Monster Hearts has a place, but I don't think you can ever really play a good game of Monster Hearts streamed. It's a very private experience.
Right.
So I think our group did a really great job of staying true to what Monster Hearts was supposed to be. There have been other APs that people were like, hey, that was an interesting show, but that wasn't really what Monster Hearts is like. Mm-hmm. Because it is so personal. And
really
it takes
is.
so much trust. I think that's something that,
Trust, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trust in that. And you're basically gaming with strangers. You don't really know them. And to put yourself and lay yourself naked like that in these games is scary.
Yeah, and so when you're
intense.
and when you're streaming, even if you trust everybody at the table, there's always that other person you know is there. Mm-hmm. And you may not know them and you may not trust them. So that's always a hard thing. And I kind of talking about that, I feel like that's something that's really important with this immersion. And I feel like that's something that you build trust with a group, and that increases the chance of that immersion happening.
Oh, definitely. I think
that's
absolutely.
super key. So if you're at a group where you're feeling nervous or you're feeling self-conscious about becoming immersed in your character, it will not happen.
Right.
So I think yeah.
And there are things the GM can do to encourage that, like having in character conversations, not even necessarily about the game, or because there's even Savage Worlds even has a mechanic in there. There's that interludes, something like that, where it's like, and you can get like a little bit of a bonus if flip a card and tell them a story about a triumph you had once in your past or something.
Yeah.
And then it's a great mechanic to build up your character's history and flesh it out, and also to get a chance at that elusive brass ring of immersion.
Yeah.
Now,
Let's go to number 2 because I feel like we had a pretty good segue.
Yeah. Now, I was going to say, I don't think that there's a system out there that's going to do it for you. I think what you probably need to do is you pick a system but ignore most of the mechanics and only use a randomizer and some rules when you feel that you can't do anything else, if you can't talk your way out of it. If the less you bring up randomizers, the less you bring up charts, the less you bring up armor classes, the more immersion you're going to have. I remember I played with a group of people in high school who he kind of came up with his own game. We had dice, but he would just sort of talk and narrate a story, and occasionally we would have to roll some dice just as a randomizer, whether you attack or whatever. But for the most part, we would discuss things. And so when you came to the city guard, instead of looking up for a stat to see if I could talk my way out, it's like, what do you say? How do you go? And so really, we spent more time talking and interacting with NPCs and interacting with each other, and less time rolling dice and looking up rules. And it really made the games much more intense, much more personal. We were all talking in character most of the time.
So you're playing a story game.
It was, but it wasn't.
It was before it became a thing.
But it wasn't necessarily a story game.
Well,
it was
even
really
like
more of just
original D&D was so rules light.
That's what I'm saying.
If you go back to like the Zero Edition,
yeah,
super rules light. There's no skills.
Right.
Oh wow.
I mean, there was a chart for if you're a thief, but I mean the whole idea of that game is very similar to what you're talking about. It's player skill versus character skill, and I think a lack of rules or simple rules, or even if it's just rules that you just know like the back of your hand.
Yes.
Those are all things that are going to get the rules kind of out of the way, out of your mind space enough so that you can get immersed.
Right.
I have to say, and we're going to talk more about him in a few minutes actually, but when we played our Darknet game, and Mook was GMing GURPS, like I didn't think GURPS could be an immersive game because of all the mechanics involved.
Absolutely.
And I mean, we played it before, but I feel like it was sort of like bumpy because we'd like switch systems all those times and stuff. But he made it so seamless; it became incredibly immersive. And part of it was like Bill and Tyler and Elsbeth were all at the table too, so it was like also a group that I love, and they're like some of my best friends. So you have that trust. But if you know a system well enough, even crunchy systems can become pretty
Absolutely.
yeah, pretty immersive.
And that's actually a great note for all GMs, like because I played with Mook as well, and I know GURPS pretty well, but he made it so that you didn't ever have to look at a rule book. In fact, I don't, he's like, don't. And so he would tell you what happened. You'd roll your dice, and he'd tell you what happened. And I think that's a good note for any GMs. Just try to keep your players from looking at their stats. Try to keep your players from trying to look up numbers or powers or whatever. Have them ask you, and you tell them.
Yeah.
It puts a lot more on you, but it means that way the players are free to just interact and play, and not sit around at the rule book for half of their turn trying to figure out what
Right.
they can do.
Yeah.
It's unfair.
And don't play mage.
And don't play me.
Because if you play mage, you're going to end up having to look at a lot of shit anyway.
I'm just doing that. I had
Yeah.
sheets of paper and everything. It's just really hard. You're trying to look at your options, and especially if you don't play the game very often.
I think generally, like, the best system for immersion is the system you know the best.
Yes.
Right. That's
Absolutely.
where I was going with that. There is one other note I wanted to make, which is if you really like immersion and you sort of like to tell stories and stuff, I think Fiasco is a wonderful way. It's not necessarily a game, I think of it more of theater sports. But if you haven't tried it, you get a group of friends together and you open up this playbook and there's chapters and you role play out the situations. And it's a wonderful, you can't not be immersed in Fiasco. But it's called Fiasco for a reason, because it never ends well.
Yeah.
And it's not really supposed to. But
Well, it's supposed to recreate a heist that goes terribly wrong. That's
well,
kind of the
there's
idea.
there's a bunch of different playbooks with different things, but it never.
But everything goes terribly wrong.
terribly wrong.
Yes.
And I've never had more immersive experiences than the few times I've played Fiasco. There's people crying.
Yeah.
There's people like in the other side going, "Oh my god!" And the choices you make, because you know it's just a throwaway for the play. You make horrible choices. You're a garbage person, and people are like, "Oh, it's fun and it is really immersive." So I highly recommend that to scratch the itch if you're having trouble finding people that want to play a game.
Oh, yeah, it's a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah,
Well,
there you go. It's a Coen Brothers movie. It's a perfect example.
Also tend to play that at we also tend to play that at like 11:30 or 12:30 at night at a
After the
con.
bar's closed.
After the bar's closed, we're all like a little tipsy and like still high on the gaming euphoria.
I saw Molly legitimately tearing up and
Yeah,
crying. Her
100%.
characters she was so invested in the character and in the moment.
Yeah.
It was as immersive as I've ever been in a game.
Yeah.
Ostensibly a game.
Yeah.
It's so check it out if you haven't. I highly recommend it. That will scratch the itch, and then you can go back to playing Hero and blowing up buildings.
I also think I know I talk about these a lot, but I also think having safety tools there at your table makes people more willing to take chances and because they know there's a way to stop it if it starts getting out of their comfort zone. So looking into that and seeing what your group. I know a lot of groups are like, no, those are silly, but I found. Even when I'm with groups that I really trust, we're doing a home game right now. It's like Dave and Adam and Joey and me and Jason and Nick. And they've been super nice. And we've been hanging out around my campfire for the last year, once a week in my backyard around my fire pit. And even though we're all really good friends, we trust each other implicitly, more than you can imagine. We still have safety tools in place.
Right.
Because you never know when there's that day where that's going to be a thing that stresses you out and you don't want to go there or something's just a little bit too far, and so it just helps make sure everyone feels like they have that safety net if they need it.
And yeah, I can remember intimately, even back in the day in high school. Sometimes I was in a bad mood, other people were in a bad mood. They just had a bad day, and it bleeds into the game. It's at some point, once or twice a week, it's
And it can get
I
ugly,
don't really
too.
want to play, or do you even want to be here today? No, I don't.
Right.
I'm like,
I had a shit day.
yeah. Okay. Well, let's
Yeah.
call it tonight. Let's go do something else, or maybe we'll play. Maybe that's actually when we would learn new systems. I really don't want to play this right now. Okay. Well, why don't we try RuneQuest? And then we. But anyway, it's nice to have that out where you're like, well, I showed up because. We postponed last week and 2 weeks ago,
Right.
but I really don't want to be here, and that's
Yeah.
real life gets in the way.
Yeah. But yeah, I totally agree with what Stu said. I think the system that's going to be most immersive is the one you know best and can run seamlessly.
Yeah.
So whichever system that is, for some people that's D&D, for some people it's a PBTA game, for some people it's other things. But that's the primo awesome.
Try to keep your players from rolling dice and looking up charts and looking up. If the less they do that, the more they're going to talk to each other and the more they're going to immerse.
I also have another thing, which is going to sound like self-promotion, I'm sorry, but have the group create the world together.
Oh yeah.
I think that also really helps with immersion, because instead of being like, we come into the town, is there a blacksmith? Like, everybody at the table already knows all that stuff.
They're invested now.
Yeah, and you have backstory that you've created together with your characters. So it's kind of like a shortcut to having like really lived backstory. You can use Decima if you want, but any other, there's lots of ways to do it. But I think that also helps people with immersion and getting that immersion feeling sooner, because you're not trying to build history. You have history, even if you haven't acted it out,
Right.
that you can then use to inform your immersion. And now I think I'm done.
And people are going to have different acting abilities. Some people are going to get really immersive and literally cry out and tear up, and other people aren't going to get that close.
My character does this.
Or-
my character says this to
But
this
they're not
NPC.
even being sarcastic.
Right.
They're doing their best.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be as immersive as maybe you would like them to be, or you're not perceiving them to be as immersive as you would like them to be. And it's not that they're not trying. That's the best they can do. So I guess what I'm saying is, sometimes you have to trust that everyone is having a good time and they're doing the best they can, and
And they may feel completely immersed,
Yeah.
even if they're not showing it physically.
Yeah.
So don't ever assume they're not until they actually say it. Because like how I react, with my character and being in character, I might tear up, but like Stu might not ever tear up, no matter how immersed he is in a character. So those are just, everybody has different physical reactions and
I'm dead
facial
inside.
reactions.
Yeah. You said it better. Thank you for that.
right.
Thanks for clarifying that. Stumbling around the word.
good.
There's a point. I was going to wander around it till I got to it, but you went right to it.
Well, you were saying too. People can be having a good time without necessarily being as immersed as
Right.
you expect them to be.
Yeah.
So I think those are two related but separate points. All right. Yay, Magic Octopus.
Thank you, Magic
Yeah.
Octopus.
That was a really good topic.
Unexpected twists and turns from Zed in
Zed in the UK. Please tag yourself on the map. Okay, so hey, Happy Jack's crew. I started DMing about a year ago for my group, and recently I've tried moving away from pre-made adventures to my own campaign. My problem is without structure of the structure of the adventure to guide me. My problem is without the structure of the adventure to guide me. When the party takes an unexpected mid-session and I have nothing prepared, an unexpected turn mid-session and I have nothing prepared and I feel very lost. For example, we're playing a sea-based story, and so far I've prepared some island and some sea encounters for them to decide, and they decided to head inland, despite the story hooks I had presented to them. What is your advice for these kinds of situations? Longtime fan, Zen, writing in from Norfolk, UK.
Well, I know what Stu's solution is. You go to the bathroom
Yeah.
and come up with a.
Give yourself.
Yeah.
It's hard to come up. It's hard to improvise something when you're under pressure.
Yeah.
At least it is for me. So I can go to the bathroom and I will miraculously take like a notepad and a pencil with me.
Ew.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I know.
well, actually, I take my phone, and who doesn't?
Yeah, no.
Everyone's phone has poop on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, or pee, or
Both.
both,
100%
probably.
both. And like so many other gross things.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get a petri dish and just like swipe.
They've
phone.
done it. You
I
can
bet it's-
look it up on the
I bet
internet.
it's worse than toilets.
There was that Seinfeld episode where like the book it was in the bathroom and they wouldn't take it back because they had a test. No, this has been in the bathroom. How do you know? How do they know?
When's the last
Who's
time
in
you
the
pooped without your
bathroom?
phone?
Right.
But
Who are all these people?
But if you can like separate yourself from that pressure of having to come up with something, for me at least, it's easier to come up with something when there's not a whole table of people fucking staring at you.
Yes. Absolutely.
Entertain us, monkey.
Right.
We took a left turn. Now what? Now what are you going to do, huh?
The other thing you can do is be very flexible with your prep.
Yeah.
I mean, is that any of that stuff that you came up with, can that be on the mainland?
Yeah.
Can the sea monster be a dragon?
Yeah.
Right.
Just reskin it.
I always have something in my back pocket just in case. I have a map or something, so like when they go inland, suddenly there's a dungeon, there's a keep, whatever, and I pull it out of the backpack. It's just there. It's a generic. Could be maybe next week it's a church, maybe next week it's an inn, but there's always something that I have for that very reason. Whenever I'm in GMing, just in case your characters decide to fuck with you and not take your story hooks, and you could even take a pre-skinned adventure if you really need that structure, and just, like you say, reskin it and just change the names to protect the innocent.
Yeah, absolutely. Reskinning is like the best tool in a GM's kit. When I do systems like Wild Talents or things like that, where you have very specific hit points and hit locations and things like that, I always have like a stack of like printed out, just kind of like bad guys.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, these bad guys are the security team at the, science
The
facility
stat
that you're
block's
going
a
in.
stat block. They're not going to know.
Exactly. And then it's like,
They're not going to know it's the same pirate they killed like 10 minutes ago.
Exactly. So save that stuff and like just have like a list of it, or just basic things. You can print out things. Like they're not going to know if the pirates that have the treasure hoard on the island that you expected them to go to, like they went left and said, oh, they're going inland. Oh, okay. Oh, these are now the soldiers at the fort.
Or the bandits.
Right. Whatever it is, like that have the gold.
And do yourself a favor, make all your bandits the same, except for maybe the leader. They all have the same hit points. Because otherwise you're going to be like, is this bandit number 10?
Stats for a zombie. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff they fight's a zombie.
Yeah.
It just doesn't stink.
Yeah.
So they don't know it's a zombie.
Right?
We didn't know.
See?
I just learned a thing.
See?
Most of the time when I do fights, I don't have stats. I make them up on the spot.
Right.
It's like, well, it's probably let's say it's GURPS.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just 10 hit points.
Yeah, I do that too, actually.
Now, what you guys are actually talking
And
about too,
skills
because
as well.
you guys are very experienced GMs, that you're actually pretty cool. You're very relaxed when that happens, and
Yeah.
clearly he still needs some structure, which is
sure,
fine.
yeah.
And other people, but you guys have gotten pretty good at just sort of winging it. And where did you cross the line from needing all that structure to being okay with just improvising?
It is realizing that the players just want to have a good time.
Okay.
And what you come up with, for the most part, even if you just improvise it and you just pulled it out of your ass, they're going to be happy with it. And if you don't let on, they don't know that you just pulled it out of your ass. They think, oh, look, he's got something prepared here. I didn't think he would have anything. We would just go to the island. Yeah. So, I mean, and that takes it takes a while to get to the point where you realize that. But once you realize that, it takes a huge weight off of your shoulders.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're all there to have fun, and everyone's kind of on the same side.
Yeah.
And I think once you realize that, it becomes a lot easier to relax enough to be able to.
What about the burden you have? It's probably self-imposed about making sure that your players have a good time and making sure that there's this burden that GM's like, I gotta make sure they had a good time. I gotta make sure that they feel fulfilled at the game. How do you combat that?
I don't worry about it.
Okay.
I literally don't. I don't. Well, I've been GMing. That's not a fair thing to say, because I've been GMing for a really freaking long time.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
But it's to the point now where it's like I can kind of gauge by this couple sessions in how the game is going to go. If it's going to be like a really good game, it's going to be an okay game or whatever. And then it's just like it's what it is.
It's like the people pleaser in a lot of people. You just want to make sure everybody. It's like you want to make sure your boss is happy. You want to make sure that the teacher's happy. You want to please the people. You want to make sure And so as a GM, sometimes you feel like you failed if your players are like, I don't really like this game. You're like, oh my god, they don't like me. They don't like my game.
Well, I'm the first person to kill a game,
Yeah.
especially if I'm GMing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, fuck this game. I'm done.
So
Even
maybe
good games, like even games that you're enjoying, you're like,
I don't kill them if I'm enjoying them.
Kind of. You also get bored really easily. What happens usually,
Sometimes.
even with good games, you're like, hey, I really like the system over here. It's like the meme.
All GMs do that.
No, I know, but you're
it's
also
the meme of the boyfriend
yeah,
and the girl.
it is. It's like you and any system you're running, and then like, oh, I just got this from a Kickstarter.
Shiny
or
new
whatever.
system.
Yeah.
Shiny new system and me and my old
So
system.
how many sessions of this game do I have, Kimi?
So that's happened a few times, but like it doesn't happen that much, really. I mean, if I'm running L5R,
No.
I love L5R.
You love L5R.
V20, fucking love that.
And he's
love
run
that game.
games that have run for 2 years or so with us in them.
I've
Yes.
run games that had 40 sessions. That's a long fucking
No, for sure.
campaign.
So I
But like the GURPS game, it's going to end up running what, 8 sessions?
Yeah.
we don't
Well,
know.
that's because of the studio moving.
That and also the fact that
Ren first
we
starting.
shut everything
Right.
down
Yeah.
for a month.
Yeah,
and a
yeah.
half.
That was hard.
So, I guess I'm bringing it back to just like I'm going to
point.
play devil's advocate here. It's like
just kind of answering your question a second ago, it
Yeah.
took me a while. Like, I over-prepped for a really long time. Especially because when I started, I was mostly running convention games, which was, looking back, a big trial by fire and maybe not the best way to learn to run games with a bunch of strangers at your table. But I learned fast.
And those games by nature are extremely structured because you're on a time limit.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get a beginning, a middle, and an end in 4 hours. So you really want to keep everything not on the rails, but going and moving forward and
Yeah,
prepared.
so that forced me a couple times to improv things. Like, they went a place that I hadn't expected, and I had 4 hours, so I went to the bathroom, and then and then like I came back and I'd realized, okay, these bad guys that I'm over here, they're never gonna get to that guy, the big bad that I planned in time.
Right.
Like, we've got 45 minutes left. They're never going to figure that out. I know I can reskin this person that they are already suspecting to be the big bad. Well, they haven't fought him, so they don't know his stats or anything. Like, he's now this guy's stats.
Right.
And the players are never the wiser for it. And I learned that kind of the hard way. I was like, they didn't know. They didn't know I faked it.
Was it?
They
Do you
didn't
remember the
know.
game? That was the epiphany. That was the moment where you went, I've been over prepping for so long.
Yeah,
That was
I
that
remember
game.
the moment. I'm not going to say what game it was because I still know people who played in that game and they thought it was amazing, and I'm just going to leave that.
Right.
But yeah, it's like, it takes practice. Like, you're going to over prep, and then there's going to be like one time where you're like, oh, this one, and you're just going to switch one thing, and then it's just going to build from there and your confidence until, like, eventually you get to the point, maybe, like, you're like, I never prep for games anymore. Like, I have my stat blocks if it's a game that needs stats that are kind of generic that I can reskin as things. But for the most part, like, I kind of have a story that I have in mind and in the world, but I want them to kind of discover it with me. And as the story progresses, and I'll be like, I know who's really behind all this as we go. So I'm kind of like developing the story as the campaign is going, which is fun. I love doing that. It makes it more immersive for me as a GM. If I just had a story I wanted them to play along with, I would write a book, make more money.
Or
You know,
not.
Not really.
Not really.
None of the big bucks off your
No.
home
My
published
novels?
Amazon game.
Nope.
No. I
My-
bought one.
Yeah, the Mandak Chronicles, if you're going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them. I'm about halfway through the 4th one.
I read them.
I killed off a major character in the 4th book. I won't say who. Yeah, I did. I found it. There was a book I got that actually changed the way I GM'd. It was called Never Unprepared.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Complete Game Master's Guide to Session Prep
Yeah.
by Phil Vecchione.
Oh my god, you used to talk about that all the time
Yep.
on the podcast.
I bought it for my daughter who's
Yeah.
GMing games now.
Is it?
So cool.
Who was it? Who came out with this?
The person who wrote the book.
No, was it? Is it Gnome Stew that came out with it? I can't remember
Through the Boot
the
or
web
Gnome Stew?
because there's
Yeah.
a
It's you
group
just search
of
for
people
it.
that
You can just search for it because I
it's
bought it
called
recently.
Never Unprepared.
Yeah.
It's got a
It's
green cover.
famous.
And
It is.
There's also
Legend.
there's also the Lazy GM and the Lazy GM 2, which are very helpful as well. For it basically just talks you down off the tree of over prepping.
Yeah,
All of
that's
them.
exactly what that did.
And it is I'm reminded of Boggart shows because you and I were in a group once where that was heavily scripted. Everything was heavily scripted, and then the first couple of Boggarts shows we wrote scripts.
Yeah,
and
because
eventually
that's
we got
what everyone else was doing.
right. But eventually we got to the point where it's like we just have a structure of songs that we hang this shtick off of, and then the shtick has gotten to be fairly repetitive at times, but new things would pop up, and we've gotten comfortable enough to know that we can just play around within the skeleton, and you can just call out a song, and we'll come up with stuff to go with it.
Someone knows who's going to start that bit, and then it just goes on from
Right.
there.
So but there's
and
no
someone's
longer
going to say something funny, maybe.
right, and sometimes
so
or not,
nice.
but we all make note of it, and so the show kind of morphs and changes. But we have the courage now to just go out there without a script,
Right.
and it's not quite improv because there is a structure to it, but it's not scripted.
Right.
And I think that's a way a good game is as well. It's not completely improv because you have done prep. You've made stat blocks.
And
You've created a
have
world.
a skeleton.
Even if you're not writing anything down,
Yes.
you're still doing prep. You're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Planning, like,
Yeah.
I think this is kind of what's going to happen. This is going to be the problem that they're confronted with.
Right.
Like, yeah, you're definitely planning, even if you're not like taking notes. But yeah, I've never read a GMing book ever, so it's also possible to just kind of learn your own style or
Sure.
listen to this podcast. And get a lot of things.
I read no GMing books until I read Never Unprepared. The only other GMing book I read, which was no help at all, was Role Playing Mastery by E. Gary Gygax. which I still have a copy of. I may gift it to you.
Timekeeping.
But it is amazing. You should. Oh, we should do weekly readings.
Oh my god.
Traveler 5 was really handy too. My God, it's full of charts.
I actually threw away Traveler.
I thought you were using to prop up the corner of your sofa for a while.
I couldn't give it away. I don't have any furniture that's that fucked up.
It's pretty thick.
Because it's like a 3-inch book. I ended up throwing it away. No one wanted it. I left a bunch of RPG stuff on my porch, and I announced on our Slack. Did it again. I announced on the Slack that there's a bunch of RPG stuff. I listed all of what it was. There's a bunch of hero stuff. There's a bunch of this. There's a bunch of this. It's all sitting in bags on my porch. If anyone wants any of it, you can come and take what you want. And some people did come and
took some stuff,
take some stuff. But that fucking Traveler 5 book,
nope,
it sat there the whole
for a long time. It was like there for like 2 months.
I took it, and then I realized how bad it was, and I brought it back. I snuck back in the middle of the night and put it back on the porch.
Even the binding was bad. Like, it was starting to fall apart and stuff.
Well, mine wasn't.
Oh, it wasn't? Oh,
no.
Somebody's
It's too heavy to hold, so I stopped reading it.
There you go. So a bunch of people were complaining about it because they wasn't it a Kickstarter?
Yeah.
It was a Kickstarter. Oh, yeah.
They backed it for like a ton of money, and it was like
for $100.
falling apart.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know if it would have fallen apart, but I spent hours trying to find out how damage works.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's like, I couldn't even find what section it was in.
I looked through to it, and I got so... There were so many charts and hit probabilities, and I started trying to figure out where the actual rules were, and it was just...
First, 20 pages of the book
and
is
the
probability charts of dice.
Like he was using it to justify why I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I'm not kidding.
It is the shining example of how not to write an RPG book.
I still have it.
It really is.
And
I don't.
And Mongoose Traveler is so solid and so strong. Yeah. It's like, and this guy came up with the original Traveler, which was a decent little game.
It was a fantastic game when it came out.
It was so disappointing. It was like
it's just unmanageable. Yeah. I think it was mission creep.
It's like, well, he hadn't done anything for 40 years. It was like he stepped out of his DeLorean. I'm like, I'm the gaming god. Bye-bye. And you're like, what is this? Where have you been for 40 years? Oh, I see. Working on this.
Chat says, how solid is it?
God, game.
Yeah, they also say happy show retirements, too.
Oh, thank you.
Not for like 3 more weeks.
3 more.
3 more sessions, and then we're going to be at my house. And Stork is still going to be there. And I'm still going to be there.
Already getting mad. Don't get mad.
I'm not mad. I'm going to miss Stu, but I'm going to make him come sometimes.
I'll show up eventually.
He says he wants to run a game or so.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I expected it to be like a break as you like revel in your newfound freedom.
Yeah. Well,
and then eventually,
I got plans for this place.
Yeah, but once he like settles in and you're like, hey, okay, I have my space back. I can go there and I don't have to be obligated to like do audio files or post anything. I can just talk about it and then come home.
Fuck doing that stuff. Well, I'll be doing that stuff for the folk show.
Oh, I wasn't sure we could talk about that, but yeah.
But that's easier.
He's got other projects.
I have to download a bunch of fucking YouTube videos and scrape the audio off them. That takes fucking forever.
Mad at me? I figured out how to fix that already. I've already fixed it.
Well, how do you still have to download the video? How are you getting the audio out?
We can talk about this off.
Are you doing it in YouTube or are you doing it from Twitch?
For Restream.
Oh, Restream will do it?
$16 a month. Restream takes separate files of everything. I click on it and go, download audio file.
Oh, my God.
And it's on my computer 3 minutes later. I know.
An hour per AP episode is what it takes.
Yep. Not anymore, because I did.
Real Player will turn it into an MP3 as well.
Real Player? What? This is 1985 once it's computer back.
They still have it. It still works.
Really?
It downloads you have an option to save it as an MP3.
Are you wanting Windows 7 or something?
Yes.
They've kept up.
But I discovered that like last week. That's why I was like,
no shit.
Hey, I'm going to start doing the audio files, because I literally downloaded the last version of the last episode of Eye of Horus in 3 minutes.
No shit.
Yep, and all I have to do is, and I just dropped it in Audacity and like trimmed it.
Well, yeah. Once you have the audio file, the rest of it's very quick.
Yeah.
It's getting to the audio file that has been a pain in the fucking ass.
I'm still taking the studio. You don't get it back.
That's fine.
I know.
Real Player will do it for free.
Yeah. Okay.
Save it as an MP3. I think you can put it on Audacity, but yeah.
Save the
whatever video you're watching, you can do it. It'll download it, and then it has an option to save it as an audio or as an MP3.
It's still downloading the video file and then scraping the audio off.
Then you can say save as
Which
an
is the
MP3.
part
It'll
that
toss
takes
out all the rest of the stuff.
a long time. Especially if it's a 4-hour AP.
Yeah,
That's
true.
the problem.
That's
Okay,
true.
$16.99 a month. Like, I don't have to worry about any of
Oh,
this,
yeah.
and I just
I
like
would've-
download
I
audio.
would have paid 4 times that
Yep. Yep.
had I known.
The nuts and bolts of running a podcast.
Right.
Yeah. Will Canada still be there without the burps? I feel like Canada will be there more without the burps.
Yeah, they hate the burps.
And there will be burps. Like, my burps are not quite as impressive. Generally, it's
Your
little...
sneezes are what really sets you apart.
But Stork will be there, and Stork burps a little. My sneezes, yeah. Oh, I started new allergy meds, so it doesn't happen as much anymore.
Look at some pepper.
You used to have an audio file of it. She was so mad. Yeah.
Used to.
Yeah, it's still there.
Let's have it.
It's got a burp in it too. Here, put the headphones on. It's a little bit of my burp and your sneeze. It's the
like
best of both
the
worlds.
moment of Happy Jacks, like the perfect Happy Jacks moment. I'll have to take the audio files and figure out how to do that.
I can just give you that.
Yeah, maybe. It doesn't plug
It's
in.
gonna die.
I know. That's why I don't want it.
That's like.
This is gonna die. Let me give it to you. It'll be
I
great.
think it's the original
Yeah, it's like
iPad Mini
iPad
or
1
whatever.
or something.
I think this was an iPad Air. Is it the original iPad Air they called this thing?
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's very old.
But yeah, it's very old. All right. So we answered his question, right?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we need to... So we were going to circle back on Mook.
Oh, yeah.
So, unfortunately, some of you know, we've talked about it on social media a little bit and things like that. Mook, who is what was a staple of the Southern California role-playing community, specifically the GURPS community.
West Coast Guru GURPS.
Yeah, just amazing. Unfortunately, a few weeks ago, he passed away.
Yep.
A lot of information about like why and stuff isn't public, and that's not our place to share that information. But he was such an integral part of our community, and he's done Happy Jacks APs, and he was just like one of those presences that we always saw at the con.
Yep.
Just like
And a genuinely nice guy.
just a fantastic person.
In kind of a hobby that's kind of full of egos and broken toys, Mook was a genuinely nice guy.
Yep, absolutely.
Anybody that wanted to come to his game, he was excited.
Yeah.
He was literally excited to have players at his game. I remember walking in and he was like, just vibrating. And when your GM's excited to have you, you're getting excited. Oh, he was such a great gamer and player.
Yeah, so talented.
And loved the gaming and loved GURPS and wanted to share and wrote great books about it, by the way, too. His books are actually very worthwhile.
How to be a GURPS GM.
How to be a
Published by
GM,
Steve
really.
Jackson Games.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're very worthwhile. But he was just a genuinely nice guy and a great GM. Some of the best games I've ever had at cons were his games.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so he is already hugely missed.
Yes.
It's been very strange kind of like dealing with that new reality of our friend circle. And so yeah, we wanted to share because we do talk, and we still to this day regularly reference him on this podcast because of all his wisdom and his knowledge and his ability as a GM and a gamer. And we will continue to do so.
I used to use his website because mook.net, I think, was his website. And he had tons of like GURPS examples on there. Like when I first got the 4th edition books, I discovered his webpage before I even knew who he was. And I went through and it's like, oh, he's got combat examples with all the optional rules. Oh, this is awesome. So he could read through it and like kind of understand it. But then he could go through the examples. It's like, and the stuff he contributed to especially to the GURPS community was just amazing.
He just loved gaming and he loved role playing. GURPS was his comfort.
Yeah.
That as we said, pick a game you like and run it. That was his system. But he just loved gaming. He loved everything about it. He was a really great champion of our hobby and just a genuinely great guy.
Yeah, he's so fun to just like sit and hang out with.
Yeah, always enthusiastic, and he will be sorely missed. We've lost a beacon, we've lost a flame, and I say that kind of funny, but it really was like every time you walked into a room, it lit up.
Yeah, and I feel like we're not even gonna like really feel it until like our first con.
Yeah.
And he's
And we're
not
going to
there.
sit there, and he's not going to be there and hanging out with us at the bar.
Always smiling, always laughing. You ever see him not smiling?
Cheerful. Not even like the middle of the night when everybody's tired and cranky. He was he was like a super nice, smiley guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna miss him, and So can we get a final GURPS from Mook?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we wanted to inform you. We've kind of been like, we talked about it in social media, but we wanted to be a little careful about it because obviously his family and things like that, they have priority. But yeah, we wanted to mention it to the wider community, and he will be missed.
But his digital footprint is still out there if you want to go check it out.
Yeah.
There's still information. I don't know if Move.net is still up and running, but it's all...
It will be for a while. We need to make
save as and make a mirror somewhere.
We need to reach out to his family too and see, like, if
But I think if you said his books are published by Steve Jackson Games. Anyway, it's his, and then he's on our APs and such. So
absolutely,
his digital ghost lives on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you want to see some excellent GURPS GMing and just how seamless it was, he ran the Darknet for us, which was an online game, and even an online game of GURPS became seamless and flows very well. So it was pretty amazing. All right, so then on that
somber note,
respectful and somber.
Thank you for joining us for season 29, episode 13 of Happy Jack's RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
My name is Kimi.
I'm Stork.
And we'll see you next week, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, right here at happyjacks.org/live.
Actually, it's just Twitter now. So it's just Twitch. happyjacks.org/Twitch.
Oh, okay. happyjacks.org/Twitch. I would keep the live because I've been saying live for the last 10
it's still
years.
there.
Okay.
It's still there.
All right. That's it. Bye.
Bye.
When you no problem have, you don't want to make.
The preceding program has been a presentation of the Angry Folk Media Empire.